What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to another video. You're joining me here for another workout, and we're basically doing the same old stuff, just adding weight, doing more stuff, and standardizing our movement. Again, I love rows, I love back exercises. They've always just kind of worked well for me. I'm just kind of working up here and trying to figure out where I need to be with my rowing. You know, every now and then you'll do a movement, and you'll get so confident with it, and you'll just be running through and throwing weight up. And then you'll have a week or two where like things don't seem to click. I don't know if it's like a mental focus thing or a fatigue thing, and then you're going to be like, man, what is going on? What's wrong with me? And that's totally normal. It's just something's off, whether it's your recovery, something just doesn't feel right that normally does feel right, so you just kind of have to figure out where you are and what you want to do. So this was a rough session with these. This wasn't my greatest rowing session, and before the injury, I've rowed 365, I've rowed 405 for reps, so it's been hard to relearn all this and be safe. So usually I'll just take the L's and kind of move on from there. But you know, that is what it is. When you train a lot, there's a lot of different moving parts. There's, you know, hundreds of reps you're doing a week. You know, you can taper back when things don't feel well, but I generally enjoy it, and I want to keep doing more and more. But that's the magic of you know, undulating periodization, is you can change the frequency and intensity of what you're doing. You know, obviously keep the strength stuff in the way that it is. But, you know, the hypertrophy stuff, you can do 8, 10, 12, 15, 16 reps, whatever you want to do, just based on how you feel. Sometimes those days where the weight's just moving and it feels great to be able to move the weight, and then you come back and you're just like, man, this is not going too well. And then when you go to your high rep stuff, you find that connection, the pump gets going. And sometimes you need those kind of, I wouldn't call them deloaded, but less intense workouts to regain that connection, give your body some time. And that's cool too. I hate math. I understand the importance of math, but I love my rep calculators. So like I love maintaining some degree of intensity. If you have a rep calculator, and let's say you're used to doing, you have a certain number of reps at a certain weight to do, and you can't perform them, you can take whatever weight you just did with the reps you're doing, calculate out that 1 rep max or whatever rep max you want, and then kind of go from there and do it, and you'll get, you know, just some ease of mind, at least for that workout, to be able to meet some sort of intensity, which I think is cool. So that's something. It's always on my phone. There's a bunch of free ones, so find one that works. So just being able to have a second gear when things don't go as planned is okay. You know, do the work. It's always important to do the work. The more work you do, the better you get at it. So that's kind of the whole gospel there. Benching here again. Every time you come in, we're going to have some different bench angle. Just it's always differently busy around here, but I do need to bench on this bench. The other one I kind of sink into, so like I can't get prime driving power, and then I go hitting the side of the thing again, which you saw in the latest video. So you just got to make sure things are set up. And last thing you want when trying to go heavy on bench, obviously this is not heavy, but working up towards there, is for something to hit and then, you know, push your weight to the side to make things a little bit more, you know, less ideal for you. So that's why I like standardizing everything, just having a game plan, you know, knowing what your weights are, knowing exactly what your settings are, just make things easier, that you can just go in and kind of replicate that same movement. And that's how we get good at things. We do things under similar conditions that we've done before, and then we get better at them doing that. So that's training, and then you introduce some stress, whether it's reps, you know, lesser rest time, weights, whatever mechanism you want to use. And so you could see from the previous video, rows weren't going so well, and now bench isn't going so well. So I just wasn't feeling the greatest. You know, these are all internal things. You're not going to see them in the video. But my shoulder was bothering me. And, you know, I still wanted to get the movement in, so we cut down. I think it's 230 here, yep. And we got the reps in, made it happen. You know, you're still doing work. You've still got the rest of the workouts to do, and then you can always come back. You know, this is why, you know, in my training style, I take notes on stuff, and then I'll let myself know what happened. So if there's any deviation, you know why. There's a reason for what happened. So I think in this workout, I tried to do some band dislocations, which I haven't done in a while, over my head, and immediately felt the consequence of that. So that was my own fault. So learned my lesson there, to be more careful with how I'm warming up and make sure I'm in a good position to do it. So live and learn, kind of go from there. But you know, it's not the end of the world. We still were able to work out, and you know, just lower stuff. Things weren't feeling the greatest, so you just kind of go from there, and that's totally fine with me. Again, we are. I think this is a Friday, because I'm doing my seated dumbbell press, which yeah, which I took out for a bit because it just wasn't working, especially with the injury. Just trying to rebuild that whole structure of the shoulder girdle, and I think I don't normally show them because it's a weird exercise to film, but like your reverse flies or rear delt flies on like the pec deck or dumbbells have been super instrumental in just returning that shoulder to stability. Obviously, the overhead press, which you've seen, and then everything else that goes along with it, the lateral raises, and then all that other fun stuff. It's just everything works together in tandem. Get strong at everything, and everything gets strong, and then you can start progressing things and kind of going from there. So it's very easy to overload your anterior delts and then your pecs and create some sort of imbalances, which you know I admit to having. It's more fun to hit chest. It's a bigger muscle group with more noticeable pump than you know a shoulder pump, which are smaller muscles, and it's not as fun to hit. You can't do as much weight, so you know it is what it is. But it's fun. Like that's why we hit everything. We hit everything so that we're prepared and everything gets its time in the sun. So squatting here again. And I don't know. I guess we're starting to heal up because squats are moving well again. It's only one plate, so it is what it is. But usually, if I have a bad workout, it carries over through every workout, and then eventually, there's one workout I do where I hit that point where the body's like recovered from lessening the intensity, and things start moving, and it feels great. So this may have been that workout, which you know sometimes that's just how my body works. I've found that I usually start getting muscle soreness or fatigue 2 days after the initial workout, so you'll feel great going into the workout the very next day. And then when that second day hits, you're getting a combination of the fatigue from the workout 2 workouts ago and the one you just did yesterday. So you just got to figure out how your body works and how to work around it. Because for me, it's the same trend every time. This is why I'm strategic with my deloads. If I take too much time away from training, the soreness is just unreal, and I literally it feels like I haven't trained before. Like if you've ever trained after not training for a long time, your entire body is sore. It's hard to bend your legs, you know, especially when you're going to the bathroom or whatever and trying to sit down. It's just it's rough. So I don't know. I like to just constantly be moving. You know, movement is medicine. If you become stationary and don't do much, you start things don't really go well for you. So moving around is good, getting blood flow to areas, and then just going from there is kind of what the game plan is. So, but you learn this through training. Obviously, we've had those workouts where if you take like a long hiatus and come back, you start hitting weights you weren't doing before, and then you try to train again, and it's not a good time. So that's the trade-off there. It's just those stresses that the body has to adapt to were phased out for such a long amount of time, and if I've mentioned it before, if I ever had any superpower, it's adapting quickly to things, whether it's in personal life and work or training. If I implement something, I'm really good at like downloading all the information on it and being able to exceed the next time. And especially with the lifting, once I feel a weight and I recover from it, I can usually move it pretty well though. It just that initial first time moving or attempting that weight is struggle city for me. And then it's like nothing. So that's why I'm so adamant on getting weights up on everything so that I can recover, come back, and then do all that again. So for me, um, that's kind of been my philosophy when training. That's why I'm always trying to do more and more weights, and then I can come back and do reps and stuff at that lower weight in order to kind of take advantage of that mechanical tension and kind of build some more muscle and stuff like that too. So yeah, you can definitely see weights are definitely moving easier on this deadlift compared to earlier in the week. And that's how I know. That's usually my gauge for how things are going to go. If the deadlifts move well, then I'm good because deadlifts are my basically don't have to think too much about movement where I can kind of just walk up to a bar, get locked in, and move it. And I can tell off the ground how it feels. If it's going to not move too well, then I'm in for a rough time. So, but it's fine. It's ultimately my own calibration for myself, and then I'll adjust accordingly. Like I think in the previous video you saw me deadlift 405 for working sets, which is kind of funny. just relative to what I normally do. And there's my Bose headphones, which I love sound quality wise. They're just terrible ear fin design to stay in the ear. Noise canceling is next level. You literally can't hear anything, and music just sounds so great. But I notice when I brace, create pressure, I will start the fins will pop out of your ear. So this has become an inadvertent review for the Bose. What are these, quality something threes or whatever? I don't know. They were on sale. I bought them. They sound really great. Come in like a fancy case or whatever. But yeah, that's what I've noticed. It happens on any movement where I am pulling from the ground. So like a row or a deadlift, that pressure will pop a fin out, and then it's got the the little rubber ear thing on there that's supposed to stick in the ear, and it doesn't do a really good job of that. So anyway, recommend them for non, I guess, bracing movements. I don't know if you'd run with them, to be honest, because there's too much movement. I'm definitely going to fall out of your ear, and then when you get sweaty, the rubber doesn't do well to stick in there. It comes slick and they just kind of pop out. So there's a little random Bose Quiet Comfort in-ear, whatever the heck they are. They keep adding longer names. But anyway, that's the workout. Like, comment, subscribe. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching the latest video. If you want to help support the channel, I actually own my own wet shaving and grooming e-commerce website where everything's handmade by me. It's www.apexsoaps.com, and you can get a 10% off code using wet shaver. We've got some cool scents here. We've got some Coca-Cola scents, a horchata scent, traditional barbershop, just some really cool stuff. And you can purchase samples or you can buy the whole set. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out via email. Be quick to respond. Thanks for watching.